During my time at the rehab center, I watched many people come and go through the facility. For most of us, it was a 3-month program, but only about 10% of the people who arrived actually made it that far. Some of us used the program for what it was intended for, a serious attempt to get well. Others used it as a place to stay warm and dry during the brutal fall and winter months. My bed was next to a window on the second floor of the old Victorian house. The bed beside mine seemed to have a different person in it every week because of the constant turnover. One man who stuck with me the most was an old guy who had clearly come straight off the street. From the way he dressed, you would have thought he was an offshore fisherman. Heavy coat, worn clothes, and a weather-beaten look like he had spent decades out in the elements. He barely talked and didn't communicate much with anyone. One day a group of us walked to the store to buy snacks. I was standing there looking at the beef jerky when the old man walked up beside me. He held a small bag and looked at me with a strange smile in his eyes. He didn't say a single word, but somehow I knew exactly what he wanted. So I bought him a stick of beef jerky. I watched him eat the entire thing even though he had no teeth at all. Years earlier, I had spoken to my son's dentist about digestion and learned that when food isn't properly chewed, it can be very hard on the digestive system. That night, the old man slept in the bed near mine, and I had to bundle up in extra clothes and keep the window wide open because his stomach clearly couldn't digest the food correctly. It made for a long night. Another character who came through the program was a young guy who seemed completely uninterested in dealing with his opioid addiction. All he wanted to do was sit in the common room and binge watch anime. Now, I can tolerate that style of cartoon for a little while, but only in small doses. I didn't check myself into a 90-day rehab program just to watch someone else sit there all day watching cartoons. For some reason, the staff seemed intimidated by him and didn't want to confront him directly. Instead, they would ask other residents to talk to him and ask him to turn it off. That usually ended with someone being told they weren't a real man for letting a woman tell them what to do. There was also another guy who had been court-ordered into the program because of drug-related crimes. He had a habit of threatening to beat people up and then blaming it on the devil. Apparently, the devil was responsible for a lot of his behavior. For some reason, I became one of his favorite targets. Maybe it was because I stood up to him once or twice. But after that, he seemed to make it his personal mission to try and intimidate me whenever he could. One night, I was waiting outside for the van that would take us to a 12-step meeting. I noticed that the other guy who was supposed to ride with me wasn't there yet. I walked down the block looking for him and past a row of bushes. That's when I saw him. He was standing in the bushes, urinating out onto the street. I didn't say anything to him. I just kept walking. But the moment he saw me, he exploded. He started yelling at me, calling me the N-word, telling me to keep walking, and threatening me for absolutely no reason. At this rehab center, threats were supposed to be taken very seriously. But before long, it became obvious that they weren't taken seriously enough. Later, I learned that many county-run rehab facilities make money by keeping people there longer. The system works better financially when people cycle through the program again and again. Unfortunately, that means there are often more people trying to take advantage of the system, and there are people trying to take advantage of the program. But time has a strange way of moving when you're in a place like that. One day blends into the next, and before you know it, the calendar turns. Eventually, my 90 days were up. It was time to move on to the next stage of getting my life back. Within a few days, I would be moving into a sober living house. The real test was about to begin.